put a little throttle in and nothing. More throttle in, nothing. More throttle in, nothing. Okay. I was helping a friend with another Myers 200 do some maintenance on it. They had said that the fuel injection system was a problem and needed to get sent out to get overhauled, and brought it back. And then what do you do after you put everything back together is you do a test flight. Do a bunch of ground runs first, and that's what I did. I did a bunch of ground runs first. Everything seemed to be fine. Full power on the ground, no problems. And so I took off just to go fly and see if it worked in the air. Well, turns out there were some problems. Took off, turned downwind, and engine started running a little odd. And well, I'd rather not be here. I'd rather be on the ground. So I turned base to final, and I get the gear down. And I'm high at that point because I like to stay high, but I get the gear down and the flaps out because I was high. I put them all out, and then the engine gets a lot more quiet, and I push a little power in because I was like, oh well, I'm now not too high. I'm a little low, and I put a little throttle in and nothing. More throttle in, nothing. More throttle in, nothing. Okay, I'm slowing down, and I pushed the nose down a little bit further just to keep the speed up, and ended up, I was like, okay, I'm going to land in, there's actually a field before the runway, and actually touched down, flared about, gosh, it must have been 100 feet, maybe 150 feet before the the beginning of the runway. Fortunately, the middle of the runway, there's no lights or anything like that of this particular runway. Landed on the dirt and rolled right up onto the runway and came to a stop. But I'm there, I'm on the ground, no damage to me or the airplane. And I called the tower and said, I'm on the runway and can't move. I need to get a tug to come out. Well, the airport manager, who's not a pilot, decided that this was an aircraft accident. Even though no damage to the airplane, no damage to people or property, but this was an aircraft accident, and we had to call the FAA, and you couldn't move the airplane until the FAA said it was safe to move it. We had about a little while later, the fire trucks come up because, well, they weren't alerted because, well, there was no actual emergency, didn't have time to declare an emergency, but they showed up, walked around the airplane, said, why are we here? The airport manager said, you have to stay here until the FAA says everything is safe. And they were like, really? There's nothing wrong here. Nope, doesn't matter. Well, I called a friend of mine in a local FAA office and called them and said, okay, here's what happened. Can we move the airplanes? Well, no damage to property, the airplane or yourself or anybody else? No. Then get the airplane off the runway. And I gave the phone to the airport manager, and she says, I don't know you from Adam. I'm waiting for the FAA to call me. And I told my friend, hey, can you have somebody at that place call her back and get this taken care of? And they did. And they went through, the first thing they asked was, is there any damage to people or property? No. Then get the airplane off the runway, and we'll come out and talk to the pilot and inspect the airplane at a later date.